What's up everyone, welcome to another video. Today I'm going to show you the 5 new maps that we're going to be seeing in the new ranked ladder pool for Season 11's start. I'll show you one strategy that you can use and the ideas of that strategy, so you can use it with multiple civs, and then just like the best way to play it and how to play the map. So let's get into it. The first map we'll start with is going to be Archipelago, and a lot of people tune out when we talk about water, and that's okay. Just know that by following this guide, you will get some pretty easy wins, since most people, well, on ladder, at least from my experience, don't really know how to play water. So, I'm going to show you a build order with English, how to quickly get Admiralty, and just play defensive early into just playing a full feudal water and just kind of winning it in 11 minutes, at least in this replay. So, what you want to do is you want to always go ahead and get some wood going. You want to get your build, which is going to be a dock opener here. I'm going to go with a 5 on wood opener, build the dock, and then I'm going to use the shoreline fish here to get the food I need to make villagers. Now, the cool thing about shoreline fish is it's the fastest gather rate for villagers. It's 1 food per second, which is faster than both boar and deer and, of course, sheep. And so by just having 3 villagers on this food source, you can actually have constant villager production, which normally is 4. Really cool. Then you scout around on your starting island as you're getting your fish going. And I think the best way to play Archipelago is to go 2 docks in the Dark Age, which means you want to go up to about 11 or 12 fishing boats. And then you want to go up to 11 on wood as well, after you've got your 3 in food. And then you get your gold vills. And the reason that's really good with English is because we're going to need a lot of gold anyways, so we can just keep our 4 gold villagers afterwards on gold. We don't have to move them. And the best build orders everyone should know are the ones that where we move villagers the least. Talk a little bit more about the map. It's 2 big starting islands, and then there's some smaller islands out here where you'll find some gold and some trade posts. Don't worry too much about that. When you play water, the only thing you need to worry about is, do you have naval control? And is your opponent pushing you or playing defensive and perhaps going to the next age? And what are you going to do about that? Are you going to play to the next age as well? Or are you going to push them? In this build, we'll just be pushing our opponent constantly. That's the plan. So we play defensive early, we get our technology, so we get our range advantage, which is absolutely crazy good. And then we just play feudal. So I'm going to go up to about 11 here on wood. I'm just going to fast forward a bit here because it's not too interesting. Then I'm just constantly making fishing boats. I'm building another dock here, just getting a house here at about 3 minutes. Then another dock. And then I start to go on gold now. So now you have 2 docks, and you're just going to keep making fishing boats until 11 or 12 fishing boats. And then you're going to age up. I'm going to go over here and get the gold now. So 11 on wood. And I'm going to go up to 4 on gold. And then I'm going to rally back to food and just rally on the landmark when I'm building it. You don't need to be up super fast in this map. It's not a hybrid map or one where you spawn super close to your opponent. So getting a fast timing on your archer ship or something doesn't matter too much, because usually if you're up against somebody who does that, you'll be able to get 2 bigger ships out the moment your opponent attacks you with their archer ship. So they might attack you with an archer ship, but you just pop an archer ship and a springer ship out in their face, usually with the same timing, and you've got more out of the Dark Age because you will have more fishing boats instead of an archer ship timing that does nothing. So just play defensive. I think that's the best way. Abbey of Kings, really good because you can use the king to go ahead and harass your opponent. You can do the same thing with Mongols as well. Any other kind of civ that spawns in units, you can take a transport ship and then you can drop that on the enemy's base, which is incredibly efficient because you can force out multiple reactions with that. It could be spears, it could be anything from towers, maybe even walls for that matter. And with the Abbey of Kings, we haven't really paid for anything, so it feels pretty good to do it actually. We're just stacking wood and food now, getting our gold, and then we're pretty much just gonna go into the fuel age now. Our opponent's already up, and as we can see here, he's coming with an archer ship. We're gonna go ahead and queue up a springle ship because it's the counter, and we're gonna queue an archer ship as well because usually people follow up with a demo ship when they do this archer ship play. Just pull back your boats, play close to your dock, get the healing. If they're trying to get really close and take out your archer ships, your fishing boats, just hop inside the dock. That's fine. Get your archer ship out, get your springle ship out. And now, all you gotta do is play defensive. You're gonna just go ahead, get the gold that you need for technology, which is 350 gold and 150 food, so 500 resources. And then your ships will have really, really long range, where you simply just have to micro so that you attack but your opponent doesn't. And then you can just win the game because you'll be attacking all the time but your opponent doesn't. It's a simple and efficient strategy, and it's really hard to counter it. Yeah, it takes 5 hulks to snipe a demo ship, and about 4 hulks or something to snipe an archer ship. And Hulk versus Hulk is just Hulk versus Hulk. Now we got the range coming in, so Admiralty just got researched. So now notice how every time we fight, I'm going to be able to fire, and my opponent won't be able to fire. When you get close to your opponent's base, try to prioritize killing the fishing boats, because that's the same as getting villager kills. You want to prioritize that. At the same time, we made a transport ship. We got the king. King is going to be dropped on the opponent's island while we're doing some aggression here on the front. If your opponent just stops their food eco to heal up their boats, then you're in a pretty good spot because they're not getting any food. We added in a 3rd dock as well, and we're just making archer ships and springle ships. We have about 2 to 3 archer ships, and the rest is just hulks. And then if you're going all in, you can go for demos as well. So again, just back and forth. Now we got the king dropped on the island here. He's going to come around the back line, and then we're going to do some damage with the king. So we see the wood line here, and we immediately will force out a barrack from our opponent, which is already value because we didn't pay for the king. The only thing we paid for was the transport ship. Now we're idling the wood line, idling the vills here. We're idling and forcing our opponent into spears. So this is a very solid start that you can go for. Most people are going to overreact to this. So yeah, now you just fight. Notice how every time I attack, my opponent is out of range, but I can fire at them. So they're in range for me, but I'm out of range for them. So I can just keep firing like this. It's very toxic in some sense, actually. But that's the build, and that's the way to get easy wins on Archipelago. So hope you guys enjoyed this, and if you have any questions about how to play Archipelago, any other civs, then let me know. Other civs that are good for this map is China, Shushi. You can play Order of the Dragon, you can play Achery. As you can see here, you can play English as well, and there are many other civs that can be played out on water as well. I would say most civs can, but some obviously have an edge. In this example, it was English. The next map we'll take a look at is going to be Canal. Now, Canal is a really difficult map to play if you don't know what you're doing. This is one of those most popularly vetoed maps because what are you going to do with this? It's so difficult to gauge. Should I make ships? Should I make land units? Should I go castle? All these things. And honestly, you just got to keep it simple. Your focus is just to get the water in the feudal age. Play feudal until you won the water, and then you will have all the shoreline fish, and that's going to give you a lot of wood. The only hard thing is early scouting. You got to figure out, is your opponent opening up with a Rax, a dock, or are they going feudal? And some civs, like English, they can use their villagers as well with their short bows to go for greedy dock play and not get punished as easily. So, your goal is to get water, but if your opponent's going dock first, you can go for a barrack. So that's what we're scouting for here. We're checking, is our opponent going for water? And if they aren't, then we'll just go for a dock play and go fast feudal. If they go for a Rax play, we'll go for our own Rax play. Or we can go dock and tower. And if they go for dock play, we can cancel our dock and we can go ahead and make spears. So we see our opponent makes this dock here, we cancel our own dock, and then we just make spearmen. Very simple. You want to take out the opponent's fishing production, and it's really like a lot of the times people will put a dock very safely in the back and they won't get much fish. So in some way, you can also just play feudal here. Just start making, just start with your dock, go for the greedy water play here, and then make attack ships, actually, because they will have to extend further into the middle, and then you can play a naval game that way. But stick to a simple game by just making a Rax, making spearmen, burning down the enemy dock with about 4 spearmen. Now, this will either force out units from your opponent, or they will go feudal and make archers, or some other reaction. Usually, you're fine to just make feudal age units, force the reaction, be happy with the fact that they might make units, and then go to the next age. Because upgrading your spearmen can be huge value. So here, we go ahead and we burn the opponent's dock. And we're making a few archer ships in the back. Sorry, fishing ships in the back. We're just long distance gathering here a bit. Now, you usually can long distance gather here on this map in the Dark Age, especially if you're playing a civ like OCD or HRE because you're carrying so much. But you should probably make a lumber camp, if not, if you aren't playing one of those two civs. So yeah, we got the dock going. Got a couple of fishing boats, just getting 3 or 4 of them, and then we go up to the next age. Now we pulled the whole wood line. Now we're going on food, and now we're going to get to the next age. So I've simply just made 3 spears. Now I'm aging up, and I see my opponent went for 2 spears and a samurai. This is pretty standard stuff to make. This will deny me attacking his dock at the moment, and he will get his value out of the 4 fishing boats. I would have probably liked to see like 2 villages here and a tower instead. That's a really good way to defend against it too. You can also yourself build a tower here. There's many ways to deal with early dock play. So, up to you what you want to do. So now we're going to the next age. We are building the chapel with about 7 vills, which is usually a pretty good number when you're a little bit later due to Dark Age aggression. Just make your chapel, get that wood bonus, keep a few vills on gold, and then you can upgrade your spearmen. They can come back and fight these units. And your spearmen will do more damage. They will have 10 extra HP. They will have 1 more damage than the opponent's spears. And that's a lot at this point, because they have to hit you a lot more than you have to hit them. And so you can chase down an enemy samurai like this. This is huge value. Just take like good traits here. Like you lose 1 spear, but you kill 2 spears and a samurai. Make some men-at-arms. Make an attack ship, right? So now we're in that feudal age stage. What should you be doing here? You should be making more feudal age units. You can build a proxy base here. So just build a racks, an archer range, you know, get your stuff out. Go ahead and build an archer ship, a springle ship, and then go into a demo ship afterwards. That's a pretty simple way of taking control of water. Your opponent's going to be up at roughly the same time as you. Your goal is not necessarily to keep them in Dark Age. You could try to attack their gold if you wanted to. But what you actually want to do here is go into spring ship, get demo ship, and then just win these land fights. It's a lot of micro if you're not used to this kind of stuff, but just try to keep like 2 groups. One with the ships and one with the boats. So you can just go between them like this. Most people can manage that. Now if you're not able to manage that, that's okay. You can veto Canal if you find this stuff to be pretty difficult. Nobody's telling you to actually play this. So, again, this is a different kind of Age of Empires than just, oh, I'm going to play 2DC White Tower. This is what you'll see a lot of pro players do. If you get really good at this, 3 wins and huge ladder increase in points, which is what a lot of people are looking for. But it also makes you a better player to force yourself to play these things. So I highly recommend that. Alright, so now we're pushing the enemy stock here. We use a springle ship on the archer ship. We call in another demo ship. And then another Hulk. And we're winning our land fights here with men-at-arms, spears, archers, and then we can just push the enemy dock and win the game this way. Now he pops out another Hulk here, which is a big mistake, because demo ships do so much damage. It's about 80% of the HP, and then you can just take out the opponent's, the last HP on the opponent's springle ships. Yeah, Hulks do pretty good damage to docks as well. And you can use the torch units you have, all your melee units, to torch down the enemy units as well. And once you have 1 water, and this is why we even play for it in the first place, is you'll be able to completely limit your opponent in their base. So you can put ships on these waterways here. And so you can basically just base lock your opponent this way, which is incredibly strong. It's very hard to play against. And the game is pretty much over once that happens. So just have like a couple ships here, and then go castle behind it. So if you can do that, you can't be stopped. It's too good. We even forced the tower out here. He had to make more units. Again, if he didn't do that, we would be able to fully gold block him as well. But yeah, like just play around your ships here so you don't take damage. And you deal more damage when you're playing around your ships. Attacking the top side here as well. You can also use your springle ships. Now we're gonna get to the next age. So I'm gonna have to pull these units back here. I'm a little bit not looking. Again, just use your springle ships. Go ahead, take the relics, make some knights, and just keep base locking your opponent. So yeah, you can also wall in the middle if you want to do that. The civs that are best for this map is probably English, HRE, Mongols, and Japanese, I would say. The next map we'll take a look at is going to be Altai. So Altai is another one of those maps that got added into the map pool. Let's start by looking at the map. So the map has these classic cliffs here. These have an opening, one close to you on one side and one close to your opponent on one side. And so it's very rare, but sometimes there'll be openings on these cliffs as well, just because the generation sucks. You'll have a safe deer pack, pretty much, and you'll have some of these smaller deer packs as well. So not a very good pro scout map in my opinion. It's a really good trade map though, because the trade posts are usually in the back here, so you could play trade civs if you want to do that. You can play Mongols, you can play Malians, you can even play French if you want to. Other civs that are really good for this map are civs with big landmarks. So of course English with the White Tower. It's really good to play China as well, because you can build the gatehouse in the middle. And just in general, it's civs that have good towers. O2D has good towers. They're cheap to upgrade as well. So I'm picking O2D for this map. I think it's one of the best civs that you can play on a map like this, because a lot of people will play Mongols, and O2D just do incredibly well against Mongols. They can just go into 2TC and have a good time. So we are going to just do a build order here to get our second town center with an archer range, because we're expecting our opponent to go for a spear push. If we have a gold in the back and they tower a stone or something, then of course we can just fast castle. And if they tower a gold, then we can just go for the stone instead. And if both of them are under the tower, you can make feudal age units. That's absolutely fine. And then just accept that you're going to be a little bit slower. Alright, so I'm just going to play my 2DC build. Another thing that's worth mentioning on this map is the POIs. So similar to Excavation, similar to Enlightened Horizon, what other maps have it? High View. They all have these POIs. Now, POIs on Altai is limited to the Forgotten Ruins. Now, usually you'll see pros will play a meta where they're building a house with a villager inside of this, and then a barrack, and then that will have 45 seconds pretty much of the 1 minute it takes to capture it. Basically shaving off, you just have to stand there for a couple of seconds and you're fine. You can still play this way, but it's very bad, I would say, to go all the way out to the corner to build a barrack and a house. So if you're playing civs like Abbasid, House of Lancaster, Byzantines, Japanese that will benefit from this, you would have to, I would say, get the stone a little bit later. Don't go for this POI immediately. Unless, let's say, it was spawning in the base, I would say it would be good to go for it immediately, but then the dynamic of the map would change completely. This is good to go for in the feudal age, I would say, if you have some benefits to get from it, like daimyos from Japanese, right? Yeah. Again, most civs can be played on this map. There's not really a civ where it's like, you should not play this civ. Like, Rus is amazing as well. You can play Iobits too, because, I mean, it's very, like, a linear map, so playing big Gulam Archer Siege Push can be strong. There's really not a limitation on what to play here. So, again, I just picked O2D. I think it's great. It's one of the few civs that can still do 2TC. The only problem is, in the new meta, we'll not be able to gear push, right? Or at least we don't know, but we don't think so. I'll be making a video on that as well. So, I got my gold blocked here. I made one archer. I'm taking some deer. And then I'm going to move out to the gold that will spawn here in the corner. So you'll have one of the big gold spawning, you'll have one of the small gold spawning, and so if your front gold is blocked, you can always go to the other side and make sure that you get that gold, upgrade that with that extra stone, and you'll have a pretty safe tower here. Now, what I recommend on this map as well is to build a small wall here on both sides. Don't be the kind of guy that builds stone wall in feudal here, even though it's extremely tempting on a map like this. Don't be that guy. Build palisade walls. Be a good sport. And then use those palisade walls with the gates to safeguard your villas. If you're being attacked here and you can't move here, well, you can always move over here. If you're being attacked on this gold here, you can garrison your 5 villas and then move behind the palisade walls afterwards. There's a really good dynamic there with this cliffside that you should use. Now I go into Burgrave here. I'm farming a little bit, just doing O2D things. Got my 1 archer defending with the wall here. And then I'm going to get Blacksmith, get my military academy. Because when you play O2D, and you play 2DC Burgrave, or just Burgrave in general, you should get Military Academy because the resource gain is incredible. This reduces the time it takes for your discounted units to be produced. And so, get that upgrade, 100%. Here I just play crossbows and man-at-arms, a little bit of a puppet bow style for Frisian marshes. Again, you can play that way if you want to, you don't have to. It's just one example of how to play this, this matchup. So, man-at-arms, crossbow. Now be aware that your opponent might be trading in the back. There's some really, really good trades to be had here. Again, trade is not as strong as it used to be. Back in the day when Altai was a lot in the map rotation and Mongols had amazing trade, you would see Mongols be played every single time here, and Malians too. And yeah, it was incredibly strong. And that's not so much the case anymore. I think 2DC is also a pretty good way to play this, although it's hard to punish the trade once the opponent's set up. So don't sit in base for too long, unless you're very confident in what you're doing. Alright, so now I'm just going to fast forward a bit. Here I use my palisade walls to defend myself, as I talked about before. And now I'm just simply making units, taking relics, and then I'm going to put a big Elsbach in the middle. I'm going to idle my opponent's economy a bit here. Just do some damage. Wall up the map. This is really good to do. Make palisade walls everywhere. Take the map. Take the big gold in this mid-game state. Build towers over here. Now that you're in Castle Age, you can build your stone walls. Build your stone walls, right? This is a really, really crucial stone wall to make up here. So when you have the stone for it, go for it. The same down here. Like, there are some of these gaps. You just have to go for it. It's too good. Yeah, so here we spot our opponent is trading. We're just going to go ahead, continue to make units. And, yeah. Go Imperial. So, we've got the flourishing economy. Plenty of farms. About 34 farms. Elsbach goes up in the mid, because that's extremely annoying, and it's really good to go for Elsbach in the middle. You can build siege from this position. You can put the relic inside of it. Upgrade it with all of the different unique techs. And then you can just start going into your opponent's base. Now here my opponent has quite a lot of crossbows, but OTD crossbows are amazing. So we're just going to go ahead and snipe the enemy's crossbows, because why not, right? And yeah, the game's pretty much over here. My opponent reaches Imperial as well, with Kaganet Palace. And yeah. Worth to note as well with this map that the spawns sometimes can be a little bit funky. My opponent is playing Mongols and got a big stone in their base. That big stone was supposed to spawn on the other side of the cliff. So, don't be surprised if this map generates a little bit weird. But that's pretty much it. That's how you play this map. Really cool dynamics around walls and the food sources and the big goals in the corners. This map usually leads to some extremely long games. So be prepared for that if you do decide to keep it in your rotation. The next map is going to be Rocky River. And Rocky River is one of those maps that you can play in multiple different ways depending on what your civ is. I think Pro Scout civs are amazing here. Because what you can do is you can simply go ahead, take all the deer. There's so many deer spawning on this map. The thing that you have to really be aware of when you play this map is the resources are very sparse around your base. You have your woodlines, you have your gold, and your starting berries and stone. But that's it, right? You have your second gold, well, usually to the front. You usually don't have any safe deer packs. You might have this one safe in a corner. But you basically just spawn with one deer pack, and then all of the rest of the deers are spread out on the map like this. The pawns in the middle spawn with 2 shoreline fish, so only 1,000 food. But for some civs like Abbasid, Ayubid, Knights Templar, maybe even the Chinese civilizations, consider going for it. It's not going to win you the game, this type of food here. It's not deep sea fish. This is shoreline fish. It can be gathered by villagers, like HRE and OTD villas would gain a lot from this, but it's gone in a second. I recommend playing Pro Scout civs on this map, and I recommend playing civs like KT, Abbasid, Ayubid as well. You can technically also play English, because you don't really need to go out on the map, even though you don't have a lot in the base. You just need your gold and your woodline. So playing 2DC English into White Tower here is actually also very powerful, because you'll be able to sustain yourself with the first resources that you have, which other civs like, let's say, Byzantines, they will run out of berries very quickly and will be forced to go to the middle. So if you play a berry civ, don't be surprised if you lose map control that you will also lose full access to the berries. It's incredibly difficult if you manage to mess that up as well. Map control is very important on this map, so I recommend playing it like so. KT, I think, is one of the best civilizations for these types of maps, whether it's Dry River, Rocky River, and there's a couple of different maps like this. hybrid maps in general are amazing for KT because the devs have completely overlooked nerfing their wood and food economy when it comes to playing hybrid maps. So you can go for a simple build order like this where you just fast feudal, and then you go up with like 10 on wood, you send one village out and you start building some docks. If your opponent didn't open spears, you'll just be able to build 2 docks immediately, and then you go into a stable and an archer range. Very simple that way. Stable and an archer range, and then you can just full pump units and deny your opponent's pro scouts. So this is a really, really good build to go for if your opponent is greeding out a bit on technology, which my opponent is here. They are going for pro scouts, by the way. So, double fishing boat. Just 1 fishing boat is all that's needed for a shoreline fish. I don't like to go with 4 fishing boats here. You can technically greed out like that, but you'll run out of food quicker. And hey, you just need to get this expansion going. It's not going to win you the game, as I said before, but it will give you a very nice boost to food. So get 1 fishing boat out per shoreline fish. If it was deep sea fish, you would just spam it, right? Just get as many as possible. Yeah, so fishing boat. Be careful that you don't delete the shoreline fish. A little disclaimer there. Now we go into a stable. And then we're going to go into an archer range now. And we're going to go ahead with that early Chevalier. We're going to go and harass our opponent. Again, if your opponent went for fast pro scouts, then you can deny it this way. Very simple. You can technically consider it sort of a goal in this map to go ahead and get control of all the pawns. It gives you nice vision. It gives you the ability to make attack ships out here that you can use to maintain map control. You can fight around the pawns then if you are dealing with somebody who has a lot of infantry, or just cavalry for that matter as well. You can use some archer ships here and then you can fight around them. This is a really good way of sort of using the pawns to your advantage when you are, you know, in control of them. So opponent here goes for the deers. We're just going Knight Archer style. And so we can deny some of these pro scouts. And our opponent's going for horsemen and spears. And that's, you know, the right counter. But at this point, because he didn't open with units, this will be pretty hard to deny. You get your blacksmith as well pretty soon. Although here in the early stages, you should try to get your magical count, which is about 10 archers, so you can one-shot spears. Otherwise, it's going to be terribly difficult for you to actually deal with spear horsemen. Yep, just take the water, and then take some good fights, pressure your opponent. And yeah, there's not a lot more to it. Macro wall, make units, and then go castle after a good fight. Or all in. Because the resources are out on the map, you can also all in. And just food deny. You don't have to laser focus on villagers and killing them. You can just go up, or you can deny resources, or both. That's the good thing about playing aggressively on this map, is that the resources are so easy to deny. So I highly recommend that. Here, just a little bit of micro. Again, we have our 10 archers here now, so we can one-shot the enemy spears. And all we gotta do is then protect our archers, as they will take out the spears. Once the spears are gone, then we can fight with our chevaliers. We're just trying not to take too much damage on our archers here, so that's why we block with the chevaliers. So this is not a tutorial on micro, but it's just to explain how you win this. It's very simple. Pull away the damaged chevaliers, use the archers and the spears, and then you'll take a good fight like this. So, again, all kudos to KT's insane economy, and of course, food from fish. The last map we'll take a look at is going to be Hill and Dale. Now, Hill and Dale is interesting because it allows you to do some different kinds of openers. I don't really go for a different opener on this map because you don't have to with Delhi. But let's say you're playing something like French or JD, you can open up on deers here. Many saves can open up on deer. Another thing that's cool about Hill and Dale is the fact that you can go 2TC and have deers immediately under your second town center. So even though we can't push deer, this is one of those maps where it kind of feels like you still have deer in your base. So 2TC is really good. It's really good to go for aggressive openers as well, where you open up on deer and get that extra food gather rate. This map is unique and got changed a lot, so if you are a returning player, think of this map no longer as the classic camper map where you have that big gold in your base. You don't. This map got changed some time ago. You have one gold vein, which is a 4k gold vein, and then you're forced to go out on the map and take the big golds. Now, there are a lot of gold on this map, so once you do secure it, it's amazing. I recommend walling a lot here and building keeps on these golds. The sacred site spawns, sometimes there are 3 sacred sites, sometimes there are only 2 sacred sites. In this scenario, there were only 2 sacred sites spawning, which is probably a bug, but again, I don't know. Maybe it's a regular thing, we'll have to see. 2 to 3 sacred sites, and then of course, with that deer in the base, there's going to be 1 more deer out in the map for each player spawning as well, so a total of 4 deers. That means pro scouting, you can still go for it, but it's not going to be as good because your opponent will have a deer in their base. I think the best saves for this map is going to be Rus, Shushi, China is really good, Byzantines, Delhi is good. You can also play ABBA 2DC, OTD 2DC, English 2DC. Just be careful with that whole gold thing here. Other than that, you're going to be absolutely fine. So, let's take a look at how it played out. I just went for a very standard Delhi opener. Just opening up with a mosque, getting the efficient production, getting wheelbarrow early. Then I'm going to go into a second mill as well. And just play for map control. Now, I was not aware that the map would spawn like this. I was looking for the second sacred site. I couldn't find it. And another thing to note is also sometimes when you have 2 wood lines spawning like this, there will be a little connecting wood line as well. And this can screw you over a lot if you're trying to move around it. So be careful with that. It can be super, super difficult to get correct positioning and stuff and not be caught off guard if the map generates a little bit weird. Yeah, so trade posts are usually to the sides here. Sometimes they spawn very close to the corners, sometimes more out towards the sides. So if you want to go corner to corner trade, be careful. The traders might run in front of your base. So if you put your trade post here, because of this wood line here, I think it's unlikely that the traders would go in front of my hill. But in case of my opponent here, they most likely would go in front of the base. So if we put a market in this corner, the traders would usually go in the front here. So be careful with that if you do decide to play around trade. It's good, but sometimes it's super easy to stop, and you will just have to have a tremendous amount of units to defend it. Alright. So again, when you have spawns like this, generations like this, you can abuse walling as well. If you're playing a civ like Delhi, you can make walls and gates, and this can be very annoying to play against. Because archer units and melee units, they will target the gates as a priority, just as if they were a normal unit. So be careful with that when you're playing against a civ that walls a lot, because spamming gates can be a good way to mislead you. Okay, so we see our opponent here is playing for another aggressive strategy as well. And yeah, we're just gonna play the classic Delhi game, going Gausserator and Archer. With our opponent's scout, now we denied vision, and so we can go onto the mill here on the deer, and then we can start taking that high gather rate. The thing is, with the berries and the deers for Delhi, it's roughly the same gather rate. Don't quote me on that, but I believe it is. Pretty much the same gather rate. And so you don't have to prioritize it if you're playing Abbasid, Delhi, what else? Abbasid, Delhi, and what's the last civ? Ayubits. Those civs are not gonna benefit from going on deers first, and it can sometimes screw up your build as well. And yeah, we just try comp it, make a lot of units, and then we go castle, make some elephants, some archers. And yeah, it's a very classic Delhi game, nothing too crazy. And yeah, we have sacred sites coming in. Now we have professional scouts. We could make some scouts if we wanted to and start taking the deer packs out on the map. Deny our opponent food that way. If you're playing against the berry civ like Byzantines, notice that sometimes the berries will spawn all towards the front here. It's very rare that the berries will spawn in a corner or something. They can spawn like here, but just be aware that it's sometimes super easy to cheese the enemy's berries. It's something you can do. If they're reliant on it, that is. Yeah, now we just make a lot of units. Go ahead and deny the berry income. We don't want to all in here because it's pretty obnoxious to all in on this map. So what we do instead is we go next stage. We make scholars, we take the relics, and then we're going to go ahead, gather a little bit of gold so we can make some elephants and upgrade our archers. pretty simple. Because you're just getting your technologies, and then you're just making elephants and archers. So get some more archer ranges on your transition, and then take the relics. Prep your scholars out here on the relics. Take them. Bring them back home. Take the other sacred side. And don't be too greedy and go all in and stuff. Like, just go next stage. Once you have the map control in this map, it's super simple to play it. So my advice is get the map control, then go castle age, and you'll usually have a good time. Your opponent can't stay in their base forever, unless they're playing Bruce, I guess. Then they usually can. But just full denying these golds. You can build towers on them here in the mid game if you're unsure where your opponent is. You can also just patrol it with your cavalry. That's pretty much how you would play it normally. Yep, now we're just making elephants and archers. Upgrading those first, of course. And yeah, not a lot more to it. Just rallying a bit here. Got a couple of archers. They're upgraded. My opponent doesn't have upgraded units, even though he's castle. And barely any mercenaries because we denied the berries. And yeah, that's the power of Delhi on this map. It feels very strong. And I recommend playing it. Although, watch out, a lot of people play Shushi and China on this map, and that's hard for Delhi to deal with. Yep, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys have enjoyed this guide, and I hope you guys are going to enjoy these maps, even though some of them are pretty damn campy and can be very difficult to play. I hope this guide will help you figure out how to best get the most out of your civilization on the map, and just understanding how to play it. And yeah, if you have any questions, don't be afraid to leave a comment in the comment section. And if you're interested, go check out the YouTube memberships. I offer more videos like this there. And of course, I also do coaching, which you can read about in the description below. All right, see you guys.